I watched Rent a Girlfriend and everything, and I watched your month. Well, I didn't watch like all of it. I quit watching around episode 10, and I think that a lot of problematic shit happened in this particular anime. I'm not denying it. Like Kazu starts off as an asshole, but that's a subversion of reality in a big way because the thing about the real world is that I get hammered all the time by people who will come in here and be like, women like jerks, nice guys finish last, kind men have a tendency to, find girlfriends the very last, try treating her a little bit shitty and you'll see for yourself. And all this kind of preaching in my direction by the bad advice fairy, it's that I'm getting kind of tired of having to deal with being hit by and everything. Like I will deal with my relationships in my own way, and if I don't want to treat them like shit, I'm not gonna do it, even if it means that I'm going to lose. In this thing, I don't want it badly enough to be an asshole to them if that's how you win. And you know the the truth, in a major way about Kanojo and Rent a Girlfriend that really got me sort of out to the bat against Mother's Basement is just that what he says criticism wise is that, Kazu is basically defined by the fact that he masturbates, by him liking fish, and that he wants a girlfriend. And that's like the only three things that we know about him as a guy. All of which is true, but in defense of Rigi, who wrote this particular anime and everything, and his critique that I don't know if he's even capable of writing one with characters with actual depth, male protagonists that actually have character depth are like the exception in both like anime and in video games. Like look back through history and you will find that when it comes to main character or main MC, like in every popular everything is always a dude that barely utters a word or two, at all during the whole thing. We don't even see what the dude's thinking in most cases. Like, look at like Cloud Strife and look at, a lot of these really badass and souped up guys that are buff as fuck and look at how many lines of dialogue they actually contribute to the whole project, even if in the end they're troubling in a way, and you'll find that Cloud barely ever utters a fucking word, and that most of the other characters do like 90% of the talking, and this is just the norm. Like it's not new. Male characters that are generic and boring and have not much basically going on and that we don't know about are common, especially in wish fulfillment content, because like they're supposed to be Joe Everyman that every dude can see themselves in some respects. Like that's what they're aiming for. And I mean, I'm not, I'm not saying that that's like a truly good way to flesh out a male character or anything. I'm just saying that like this isn't that exceptional with Rent a Girlfriend. Like it's what a lot of them do. It's not like why single it out as a publication when there are so many examples of juicy targets to accuse of exactly the same thing. I mean, main dude is rarely ever well defined. That's just like the reality of not every harem anime like and manga ever, and you know um not just harem animes, but a lot of like more mainstream shit. Like we very rarely get a very animated, and well defined male character. It's just not like it doesn't happen very often at all. Like we don't see guys with very like character depth very often. And so like I don't get why Rent a Girlfriend is being singled out as if it represents some failure that isn't, incredibly common by Mother's Basement. Like, dude, understand, that you want to roast this particular one, but this one doesn't stand out in any particular way as like exceptionally terrible compared to everything else in the same space that it operates under and in the orbit of. Like, it's just another, in a long line of animes where we don't have and harem and romantic animes that we have a main dude that isn't well defined as a guy, and even RPGs and everything else. Like, this is just, a reality. And I don't, I really don't get why you would, complain in this kind of way, because I've dealt with this being the reality in publication after publication after publication. Every story, doesn't ride on the coattails of its main dude. It always rides on the coattails of the main girl and everybody else. Like, that's just how it always goes.